Hello, YouTube. This is Axis 0096, and in response to a fan request, Andi Animations, I believe. How you doing, buddy? I'm gonna do a brief summary of some events that happened in between the very end of Gundam Wing Endless Waltz, starting with a recap and laying the foundation work for what happens going into Mobile Suit Gundam Mobile in between Gundam Wing Endless Waltz and Gundam Wing Frozen Teardrop. I might have to do this as a multi-parter. My apologies to any fans. But okay, here we go. As most fans know, Lucrezia Noin and Zex are leaving on a shuttle bound for the Mars sphere, or bound for Mars to begin Relina's terraforming project. However, it should be known that in episode 49, within the last minute or so of the end of the original Gundam Wing, she is trying to push forward with her terraforming project ASAP. You know, the whole scene with Hiro Yui at the very end, where it's kind of acknowledged that finally, yes, they do have feelings for each other. More to the point, in Mobile Suit Gundam Wing Frozen or Endless Waltz, the whole reason she's at the Marimea colony is she's now, basically the representative Dorlin, vice representative Dorlin, the same rank that her dad did. She no longer considers herself a peacecraft, at least at this point in time, and is captured by Marimea's forces. After, the final battle with the Marimea Revolutionary Army, or whatever you want to call them, there's a debatable number of events, things that are confirmed in the novelization of Mobile Suit Gundam Frozen Teardrop. Number one, I'm going to go with order of pilots and such. Number one, sometime before Mars Century more or less begins, there's some sort of nanotech scare going on. Apparently, Relina has some sort of dormant virus in her, kind of like Zero from Mega Man X, and it will expose itself to the population if she is awakened or something like that. The nanomachines will kick in, killing millions. So basically, she's a hostage of her own body. Kind of freaky. She's put in cryostasis. Some point during this time period as well, Hiro Yui is also put into cryosleep under the codename Sleeping Beauty. Going forward, Wu Fei either A, marries Catherine Poe. I have no idea if he really does, although it's heavily implied throughout Gundam Wing. I'm going to cover this moot point, that Wu Fei may have married Kathy Poe, and that the daughter we see in the novelization, her facial features suggest to me that in addition to that being technically her master, more or less, Catherine is possibly Wu Fei's daughter. I have no idea. Nobody's ever confirmed it. That's just my assumption. During this same time period, Duo Maxwell marries Hildy. The girl that he fought in Gundam Wing briefly, and then they later had a blossoming relationship. He divorces her much later during the Mars Century. However, it is implied by the end of the novelization they do eventually get back together. Although, it's kind of one of those ambiguous things at first. Troa Barton, we now know him as Triton Bloom, Catherine's long-lost brother. It's explained that now Catherine Bloom, the circus performer girl, she can pilot mobile suits. Troa taught her. And at the same time, by the time of Mars Century, she is fully aware that Troa is Titus Bloom, her long-lost younger brother. So, even though it's not covered in that, they're closer now than they were in Gundam Wing or Endless Waltz. I would be too if I found out my long-lost little brother or little sister is alive and well. Speaking from personal experience of a blended family. Let's see, that's Hito, Relina, do it all now. Zex Marquis goes under the nickname that he briefly used in Endless Waltz of Cyrene Wynn and marries Lucrezia Noin, having 2 children, Milo Peacecraft, and gosh, I forget her name. Nania Peacecraft. Nania, though she's a girl, takes more after Zex's aggressiveness and ferocity, whereas Milo, surprisingly, is very passive for a guy. Likewise, Duo and Hildy have a son together known as Duo Maxwell Jr. or Duo Maxwell II. Duo's renamed Father Maxwell and Hildy Sister Hildy. They apparently take a monastery as occupancy on Mars during the terraforming project. Special note before I continue, Mars Century is possibly 30 to 40 years later. The reason why Zex looks so young is because apparently there are nanomachines more or less keeping him younger. This could have led to inspiration of the Coordinator stuff, among other stuff, in later Gundam series. Possibly. I have no idea. Troa, another side note on Troa, he is no longer called Troa or Nanashi, meaning no name. He has his own protege who could almost pass for a distant third cousin or nephew. It is unknown if Troa Phobos, the new Troa, is technically any relation to Troa. Although, as a player around with genetics, I say it's highly likely he's somehow related to, Catherine and Titus. Just saying. He goes by the nickname Nanashi, which means no name, I believe, in Japanese. Catherine pilots a mobile suit. Let me see here. Troa and Catra are now named Dr. T and Dr. Q. Catra has his own protege in the form of a younger sister, Catherine. I can't remember if it's Katrina Winner, who briefly goes rogue, very surprising, like Catra does. She initially, I believe, pilots what's called the Prometheus mobile suit, possibly the successor, maybe, to Sandrock. Hilo is awakened from cryosleep, and he pilots the successor to, Wing Gundam Zero, which is called Snow White. More or less, think of it from the line art I've seen, it more or less is pretty much a revised and re-enhanced Gundam Wing Zero. Duo Maxwell Jr. pilots a suit codenamed Warlock. It looks to me like a double beam scythed Death Scythe Hell, wearing what looks like a cloak and almost a wizard's hat. And the 2 beam scythes that it carries in certain stances looks like a wizard carrying 2 oaken poles. That could be its nickname, the reason for its nickname. There's apparently been a remodified heavy arms. I don't know if it's called Shezaride or whatever it's called. And then you have the Prometheus, which could be based off something else. This whole era is very confusing. I know for a fact that... Who did I already cover? That's right. It's implied also somehow Dr. J is still alive. I have no idea how. The man who actually started the assassination of the Saint Kingdom, the people who sold him out, is still alive. The real antagonist of Gundam Wing actually shows up, and apparently it is Noin's uncle. Noin's uncle, who started all of this BS with the Sank Kingdom under an alias, and a artificially created Zex Marquis who pilots a repaired and re-enhanced epyon. It's funny, though, because Wu Fei confronts him in what is called Epyon Nataku, a Gundam apparently made of Altron enhanced with... It is confusing as hell to describe, but think it looks like a white, gray, maybe blue or green, I'm guessing green, looking version of Ultron. But it's more, looks like Epyon, but it still has its beam trident, except now the trident glows blue from the illustrations I've seen in the photo novel. It clashes what's now called with the Epyon Ares on Mount Olympus Mons. Being as how I have never found a translation of the novelization, I would like to thank Andy for pointing out that I needed to do this video. I'm a little confused. I do apologize for the order of things. I maybe have skipped some things. It's heavily, though, implied certain things that Hiro and Relina, they had to go through that whole I'm going to kill you bit again. But at the same time, by the end of the novelization, it's implied Relina is waiting for a marriage license from Hiro. So whatever has happened, they finally are together. Frankly, I'd love to see this, but at the same time, I'd like a prologue thing that they did. And yes, fans are going to groan when I say this, like they did with Double Zeta, like a recap before we start Double Zeta with the kid from Shangri-La. The boy from Shangri-La, which I believe is Double Zeta Episode 2. They need to do this with Endless Waltz to explain to fans why things are different. Anyways, I hope that's basically summarized. I will try to do a more fluid and unbiased opinion video in the future, after I've read the novelizations. Anyways, I do apologize for jumping around kind of in this video. Anyways, Andy, I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry, but I do need to read the novels. Thank you for that, buddy. You're the best. Anyways, talk to you later, everyone on YouTube. This is Axis 0096 saying, mission complete for now.